Hello everybody and welcome to another video. And today we're looking at a band that I think I've heard of before. So there's something familiar about the name, but I don't know if I've heard of them or of a band similar to them. I don't know. It's a band called BlackBriar. As is my norm, I have to do a little bit of research on who the band are, and there really wasn't that much information out there. But what I did find is that BlackBriar is an alternative metal gothic rock band from Assen, the Netherlands. They have released 3 EPs, 6 singles, 5 official music videos, 1 official lyric video, and 4 acoustic live videos. In October of 2019, they joined Epica as official support during the Design Your Universe 10th anniversary tour. And in November of 2019, they were invited to play the after show for Hailstorm and In This Moment at the AFAS Live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And that's all I can tell you. So they're an alternative gothic rock band. Could be interesting. Now we're going to be looking at a track called Mortal Remains. I have no idea what this band's going to sound like. I believe they're a female-fronted band. I could be mistaken. I have some lyrics here, so we'll just jump into the track and see what we've got. So I'm going to be looking at Mortal Remains by BlackBriar. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. Mortal Remains by BlackBriar. That song feels a lot shorter than it actually is. That was around about, it was a little bit over 4 minutes, but it didn't feel like it was that long. But very interesting. That woman, she has an incredibly powerful voice. She's got an incredibly good voice. There are elements of it that actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Kate Bush. And I absolutely adore Kate Bush. I quite like that. That was interesting. I mean, it was very almost cliched, stereotypical gothic from the very outset in regards to the video. You know, a woman in black carrying a bunch of red roses and wearing what I would call witch heels, and I just call them that because they're the sort of boots that you'd associate with witches, you know, in like books and stuff like that. I mean, nothing disrespectful through that. You know, it's almost so typically gothic because, you know, the whole graveyard thing. But the actual song itself, it's kind of tragic and kind of beautiful at the same time. Because it seems to be telling the story of a woman who's at the grave of her lover, her partner, whoever, and misses them so much and wants to be with them again that she starts digging up this person's grave just to feel close to them again. But once they actually get to the coffin, you know, all they find there are the mortal remains, and you know, there's no emotion associated with that. You know, all feeling of this person's presence has gone. So they're looking at literally nothing but bones, essentially, or something along that lines. They're just looking at a lifeless husk. You know, nothing of that person's presence is there anymore. So, you know, they feel that overwhelming loss even more because they just wanted that one more moment with that person they loved so very much, and they can't have it. And the lyrics go, I mean, they were pretty clear, but the lyrics go, I'm digging deeper into the dark sand, cold and wet earth in my bare hands, and a desperate undertaking, it's all I have left. I cannot live with this unbearable pain in my chest. I do not care if I am disturbing you, oh, I know I am filled with greed. Finally I found you, I need to feel whole. Oh my love, I am here to take back what you stole. Somewhere in your coffin, I am searching for my soul. I do not care if I am disturbing you. Oh, I know I am filled with greed. You disturbed me ever since you left me here to bleed. All I have found are your mortal remains lying on this dirty ground. Where are you now? Where are you now? I cannot feel you around. I do not care if I am disturbing you. Oh, I know I am filled with greed. You disturbed me ever since you left me here to bleed. And there you go. You know, I mean, even the lyrics are quite short. And, you know, like I said, that song's over 4 minutes long. But it just feels really, really short. But it's beautiful but tragic, like I said, because this person, you know, saying, you know, I don't care if I'm disturbing you. I know I'm filled with greed, you know. They're sort of being selfish because they need to feel that intimacy with the person once again, and you know, whilst they're desecrating their final resting place, you know, they're digging this. They don't care because all they need, all they want, all they crave is one more moment with that person that they cared so strongly for. And then there's that line, finally I found you, I need to feel whole. I'm here to take back what you stole. Somewhere in your coffin, I am searching for my soul. So a part of this woman, she feels like part of her was taken away when this person died, and you know, this left this hole in her. You know, she's never felt complete since this person's died, and she just wants that back. You know, she wants to feel whole again. So you know, this person was the missing piece of her life, and, you know, they've now gone. So she just wants to feel whole once more. But, of course, upon opening his grave, or the person's grave, it says there, "All I have found are your mortal remains lying on the dirty ground. Where are you now? I cannot feel you around." So upon opening the grave, you know, they've realised, you know, there's nothing of the person I cared for so much here anymore. You know, there's nothing of their presence is here anymore. So, yeah, they're never going to feel whole again. So it is quite a tragic song, but it is brilliantly performed. You know, I like how it started out with just the solo voice with a little sort of very subtle, singular string instrument behind it, and then it built up into the quite heavy music, which it sounded great. I really like that. I'm going to have to find some more of their music, because I really enjoyed that, and it's something different for me to listen to, something new and interesting for me to listen to as well. I mean, it might not be new and interesting per se, or to most people, but this is new and interesting to me, and I would like to hear more, because, like I said, I thought she had a fantastic voice, very, very powerful voice. I feel I bet she could be very, very impressive on a live stage, and I can see why they joined the likes of Epica. I can imagine they'd probably do support for Nightwish or something at some point as well. You know, it's just that sort of style of music, and yeah, they sounded amazing. Her voice, absolutely unbelievable. I really like that. So yes, quite a tragic song, but again, beautifully written, beautifully performed. Really like it. But I don't know what else I can say on that, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to make a suggestion for a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you can also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, since every piece of content I upload to this channel gets immediately demonetized, so I make absolutely nothing from all of the work that I put into this. It's a little bit frustrating, but, you know, it's just the way it is. There's an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue if you should so desire it. There's a limit on how frequently you can do that. It's limited to once a month, and that's just to be fair to other people who make suggestions through more regular means such as YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram comments. And if you do make a suggestion through those more regular means, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly, because one of the main facets of this is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture. And this is something that gets very widely ignored. It sort of gets brushed under the carpet and sort of treated as not a big deal, when in fact it is a very big deal, and it's a much bigger problem than people actually believe it to be, because no one pays enough attention to it. You know, every day we hear of all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear these on a daily basis. You know, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes, where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin, their sexual identity, or their religious beliefs, or what have you, down to the most petty and pathetic of these crimes, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear these on a daily basis in every kind of media you can possibly imagine. But what we never hear about are the people from the alternative culture who are getting constantly, violently and aggressively attacked just purely because of the music that they listen to. And, you know, we're not just talking about insults being shouted across the street or getting shoulder rammed as you walk down the road. We're talking about real, brutal, violent crimes where people are getting hospitalised, sometimes with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries, just because they like different kind of music and a different kind of clothing. The last time there was any widespread talk of this sort of thing happening was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people. They were beaten, kicked, punched, knocked to the ground, and had their heads stamped on so violently that they were both put in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive this attack. He was in a coma for around about a week and a half, possibly a little bit longer. But he did survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. Excuse me. This woman, young woman, was about 20 years old, and she was beaten to death just because a small-minded group of people couldn't understand the fact that she liked different music and different clothing to them. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been. But as all things do, over time, other news stories came in and it sort of faded into the background. But the thing is, in the 14 years since that's happened, we've not heard anything similar since. But I know for a fact there have been several hundred, if not several thousand, similar incidents to that since that happened. We've just not heard anything. A couple of years ago, a young woman in Scotland was running a charity gig, and at one point during the evening she had to go back to her home for whatever reason, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue that she was hosting at. In the time between leaving the venue and getting to her home, she was attacked twice, again by a group of people, 5 or 6 people, violently and brutally attacked her twice in the space of time it took between leaving the venue and getting to her home. Now, thankfully, a passing taxi driver put an end to the violent attack, and, the group of cowards scattered as they always do. He didn't stop to check if she was okay. As soon as the group disbanded, he buggered off. She didn't get any help until she got back to the venue where her friends were. This wasn't on the news. Okay? A young woman, again in her 20s, violently and brutally attacked by a group of people twice, and nothing was said. Now, if this attack had been motivated by religion, if this had been motivated by race, if it had been motivated by, sexual preference, this would have been all over the news. But no, this was a violent attack motivated just purely for the fact that the young woman in question listened to alternative music. The fact that she wore gothic clothing, the fact that she listened to heavy metal music. Nothing was said. This wasn't in the news. This wasn't on TV. This wasn't in any newspapers. This wasn't all over the internet. Nothing was said. I live walking distance from Scotland, and I didn't hear a single damn thing about this until a friend told me about it. And that friend lives 80 miles away from me, down south. He lives even further away from Scotland than I do. And the only reason he knew about it was because the person who was attacked was a friend of his. It's unacceptable that this sort of thing happens, and it just gets ignored. This isn't anything new. This has been going on for decades. This has been going on for longer than I've even been alive. People from the alternative community have constantly and consistently been violently and brutally attacked because of our different taste in music and clothing. And nothing is getting done. And that really needs to change. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to raise more awareness of the fact that this is happening, that this is going on. They want people to see it for the problem that it really is, because it is a much bigger problem than people think it is. Every day, someone from the alternative community is getting attacked just because of their taste in music and clothing. And it's petty and pathetic. But if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And we can't allow that. We can't let that happen again. You know, the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, they don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the small-minded actions of a group of people who couldn't handle the fact that someone didn't like the same stuff they did. And that's the thing. They made this assumption just off the fact that they wore different clothes and different music. They didn't take into effect that, you know, Sophie Lancaster was a huge fan of Harry Potter, as they probably were. I personally can't stand it, but that's not the point. They're just taking this one element, the fact that they listen to different music and wear different clothing, and they're focusing on that and using it as an excuse to violently attack people because they don't fit in. It's unacceptable. And if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happens to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And we just can't allow that. Something needs to be done. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there's a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but you know, if you can offer a small donation through their website, or even something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, maybe even one of them. You know, they've got a whole bunch of other cool stuff over on their web store. You know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to the fact that these sorts of things are happening, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.